All right, cool. So everyone can hear, can see the screen, right? All good? All right, cool, cool. So let's do what we're gonna do right now. I'm gonna show you guys exactly how I pretty much mark up the charts, right? And how do I look for setups every single day. So obviously the only pair that we really focus on during the weekday is gold. So today, starting the day, we do have red folder news as you guys can see here. We do have it at 9:45. Right now it's 8:40, so we kind of have this in an hour later in an hour. So I won't really be trading, between it. Hopefully we do get it set up before we actually hit the news. But whenever there is news, we do expect for the market to kind of slow down during the middle of the session before, the red folder comes out, and that's exactly where all the volatility kicks in, right? Now, since our setups, we really focus, let me see. Since our setup, I see people that cannot hear me. Can you guys hear me or just making sure? Okay, cool. So the setup that I really focus on, obviously, you guys understand that we basically look for orders, right? We look for buy limits, we look for sell limits, right? And I've got a lot of questions like, hey, how exactly do you know where price action is going to have a retracement to set up the limits, right? So there's 5 steps that I simply follow. So let me get those 5 steps out here so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. Let me see if it's this one. Okay. So these are 5 simple steps that I follow. And as you guys can see, it is very easy to understand. It's nothing complicated, and it's just keeping trading as simple as possible, right? So the 5 steps, right? We do have the first one, which is the top-down analysis, which is something that you guys need to do almost every single day whenever you guys are doing your markups, right? So you do your top-down analysis, which you start from a higher time frame and you start looking for the overall trend and the bias, right? So step number 1 and step number 2 are basically looking for the bias of the market. Step number 2, you basically are going to mark up the weekly highs and the lows, the daily highs and lows, so pretty much to identify trap zones where there's liquidity either sitting above or below, and you guys can also use that as potential targets, right? Any question with that one so far? With the numbers, the first 2 steps? Okay, okay, cool. So that's the first steps that I do, right? And I always like to start obviously from the weekly time frame, right? Now, what I really focus on the weekly, it starts from a Sunday. I look at it on a Wednesday and on Friday as well. So those are the 3 days that I look at the market weekly on the weekly time frame, right? So if we take a look right now at the weekly time frame, you guys can kind of see that the market is kind of indecisive, right? We don't have a clear candle towards the upside, or we don't have a clear candle towards the downside, right? So what we're simply going to do right now, we're going to mark up the weekly highs, which is going to be this point here, which is going to be wick to wick. So weekly highs, and then right here, the weekly lows. And then all you guys want to do is just simply mark this as a template. You guys are going to go weekly high and then weekly lows. Or is the template right here? Now, you're going to break it down towards a daily time frame. And the daily time frame, you're going to do the same exact, marking the highs and the lows, but from the previous daily candles, right? So in this case, we're going to mark up this daily lows, which is this one, this little wick here. And we're also going to do it above, which is going to be in this case. And remember, if we're going back into the steps, you have to mark up the weekly, daily levels to identify the trap zones, which is either, the liquidity zones, and you can also use it as potential target. So if you guys kind of look at it from yesterday previous structure, right? So we're going to put daily lows here. We're going to put previous. So I got to fix this actually. So we're going to put previous and we're going to make this black. I don't like that yellow. And then this one as well. Daily highs. We're going to put this previous daily highs, just like this. So as you guys can see, if you guys come back to step number 2, which is identify, the daily lows, daily highs, and then identify the trap zones, right? So basically liquidity, let's say that we're looking for a buy position, right? Let's say the market overall is in a trend like this. And let's say that we do have all of these lows here that still has to be, price action has to come back to kind of sweep out. Let's say that this was previous daily lows. Price action had a bounce, and let's say that this market today, we kind of had a push towards the downside. Whenever price action basically closes underneath and then sweeps out these lows and then starts changing structure, this right here is basically how you identify a liquidity sweep, which price action swept out all of these lows, confirming that all of these lows here is still valid. And then every single sell order that was being placed in here, everyone is going to be getting stopped out. And that's exactly what I mean by, trap zones. So in this case over here, if you guys look at it from the left side, you guys can see that we do have a daily lows right here. And we can see that today's candle price session had a liquidity sweep towards underneath these lows. So if we kind of go down towards a lower time frame, you guys can simply see how price session swept out all of yesterday's lows. We respected it, and then we started pushing the market back towards the upside, right? Now, again, the only way that you guys can find that this is valid is first from step number one, which is identifying the trend. So let's go back into the weekly. We're going to identify what exactly is the trend. So to identify the trends, right, you guys have to look exactly what I pretty like or to identify, because there's a lot of traders that I identify the trend, the buy simply by candles, right? What I focus on is mostly on market structure, right? Market structure for me is always going to be everything. I don't really look at the candles. I look more at the market structure. So let's say that price is doing a highs, higher lows, higher highs, and higher lows, right? If we form a higher low and price action is overall respecting those higher lows, right? Remember, higher lows are always going to be zones where price or where basically buyers are going to be active in the markets, right? So if you guys kind of take a look from this side over here, we had an imbalance push towards the upside. Price action had a retracement. We came back to retest this exact fair value gap right here. You guys can see this bullish fair value gap, which price action perfectly respected and created the higher low off the weekly time frame. And if you guys kind of go down towards the daily time frame, you guys can also see that daily had a push. We have a high, and we came back over here, respected all of this entire fair value gap. Another way to say we have respected all of this exact demand zone. And notice how these lows over here were respected. We have the first low, and then we have the second low, right? Now, notice this pattern here. Once we respected off the weekly structure fair value gap and price session created that weekly higher low, notice how price session from this point over here, we had a break of structure, which price session did end up breaking above all of this entire highs over here. And then if you guys kind of look at this highs over here, what exactly you guys think these highs are, right? This is going to be an area of resistance, right? Just simple support and resistance. So we had a break of structure. Price session last week, we did pull back towards this exact zone, right? Now, if we look at it from the daily time frame, there's two things that we need to identify. So we're going back into the steps. Step number 3 is intraday key zones. You want to highlight structure, like, the break of structure and smart zone that aligns with your bias. So in this case over here, if we look at it from a daily time frame perspective, we're seeing that price action is having a reaction of all of these entire imbalances, right? This entire candle right here, this bullish candle, which can also be known as the bullish fair value gap, right? And if you guys look at it from this side over here, we also have a bearish fair value gap, which price action is currently trading underneath. So just by looking at this, we do have two different types of scenarios. We have a bullish scenario and we also have a bearish scenarios right here, right? So we have both of the scenarios from bullish and scenarios for bearish as well. So if you guys kind of go back here towards the weekly time frame, that's exactly why the weekly is an indecisive. Like there's no clear direction yet in the weekly time frame based off the daily time frame. Because on daily, we are respecting this daily bullish fair value gap, and we're also respecting this daily bearish fair value gap right here. Any questions so far? Nope. All right, cool. Cool, cool. So that's exactly why we look at from the weekly time frame. That's why the weekly doesn't really have a clear direction. Because again, we are respecting both of these zones. So if you guys kind of look at it in the middle, what is price action basically doing right now? We're basically trading in a range from a highs to a lows, right? So we're gonna go back here towards the 4-hour time frame. Let me see if I can accept more people. Okay. So we're going over here on the 4-hour time frame perspective. And what we notice is that price action is currently trading above previous daily lows. right? Which was yesterday daily lows. And if you guys kind of look at it towards the left side, so let's kind of like break this a little bit lower, kind of make this clean like this. And if you guys kind of look at it from the 4 hour time frame perspective, we are basically trading above these areas of support. Every time that price action comes back towards this area, we are seeing kind of bounce plays, right? There's a bounce place here, there's a bounce place here, and price action is currently having a bounce play as well. And if you guys kind of look at it from the left side, we are currently trading above an area which used to be in areas of resistance. And if you guys kind of look at towards the left side, it used to be an area of support where we did see some buyers action. And if you guys kind of look at it, push a little bit higher over here, we also have this other bullish push towards the upside, which can also be known as the demand zones, right? So in this case over here, we're going to mark this one black. Now, we're going to drop down towards a 1 hour time frame perspective. And remember, this is where price action, keep in mind with the daily time frame. The daily, we're still kind of ranging. So we're going to kind of write this note so you guys can understand it. It's just, all right. So let's do this better, guys. So we understand that it just, all right. So first thing first, we have one where we'll say that price action. So weekly, we're indecisive. So we're going to put that, weekly candle. It's a weekly candle. We have the second one, which is daily structure, currently trading above daily lows, trading above previous resistance structure. 40 zone to 40. We can probably do this to 40. Yeah, just put 40, 40. So right now we have the weekly, which is a week daily candle, right? We have the second one, which is daily lows trading above previous resistance, right? So again, this is all areas of resistance. We have resistance here. We have resistance right here. And then currently price action on the daily time frame, we are trading above it. Now, we're also going to keep this in mind. 3, daily is trading between or in the middle between two value guys. We have bearish, which is going to be between, we can do 4110 to 4130, 4110, 4130. Bullish for value guy, we're going to put 4040 to 4050 zone. Value gaps, 41. Okay, cool. So that is exactly what we have so far, right? Now we're going to drop down towards the 4 hour time frame. We understand that the 4 hour is respecting all of this entire support, but now we have to be very cautious at this point here because again, the daily time frame is still ranging. So just let me ask you guys a question, right? For price action to actually have a clear direction, what exactly needs to happen in here? Just for price action to have a clear direction, what do you guys think needs to happen? Yeah, exactly. So you can either break, we already filled up both of these exact, we already kind of filled them up. But now for price action to have a clear direction, we need to wait for price action to have a clear break of structure, either towards the highs or towards the lows. Because again, price action is basically in the middle. So we have these lows, we have these highs, we have this higher lows, but now we have a lower high. And then price action continues respecting these highs and these lows. So there's nothing really going on in the middle here. So this is where we need to be very cautious and to understand lower time frame structure. Because remember, every single time frame is going to have its own own structure, right? In this case over here, the weekly we are bullish. The daily we are bullish, but we're still trading between ranges. So obviously we need to go down towards lower time frame. So that's exactly where we're going to go right now. We're going to go to the 1 hour time frame. So the 1 hour time frame, we're gonna look what happened on Wednesday, which is we reacted off this entire supply zones. We can say also bearish fair value gap zones. Price action on Wednesday, we did see the price came back towards the 4130, which is these zones over here. I actually have this in the Telegram. So let's go back over here. I'm gonna go back into the Telegram here in the VIP. Tu- 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 tum. This is something that I called out on right here. So if you guys notice November 19th, here in the VIP zones, right? Here in the VIP zone, this is where I told everyone that we need to react and adapt because we were looking for a buy position, right? We noticed that price session came back into our sell zone, which is going to be between 4130. You guys can see how it perfectly aligns to 4130, right? Which is this one here. And this is all from Wednesday. I told everyone that I was going to look for a react and adapt because obviously since we reacted off the higher time frame supply zone and price session immediately started having that bearish reaction, all I was simply waiting for was for price session to give us a pullback, which was going to be, where was it at? Which was going to be right here. So this was actually a trade that I missed out. And this is where I told everyone that I was going to look for a sell. Let me see where it is. I'm confirming we're bearish structure under the 41 structure here, waiting for price action to pull back into this zone. So the zone that I had marked up to look for sells was going to be between the 4108 and the 4110. Unfortunately, I did end up missing out this trade here. It was perfectly. We got the break of structure, the respect of the supply, price action pulled back perfectly, and we got a nice sell towards the downside. But now notice how since we got this sell towards the downside, and then notice how price action came back towards these exact lows, notice how we're just creating, basic highs and lows. There's no clear structure just yet. You guys see that? There's still no clear structure. We are respecting from higher time frame zones. So in this case over here on the buys, I could have easily set up a buy limit at 4140 and it would have easily respected. The sell limit too, I could have easily put another sell limit around these levels over here and it would have easily respected, right? But now, here in the 1 hour time frame, we are noticing that price is having a reaction off the support. So what we're going to be trading today is going to be based off what price action is doing right now. So we noticed that yesterday, right? We did see some kind of bearish reaction towards the downside over here. We attempted to break structure, but all of this here is all simply called liquidity sweep, right? So if you guys kind of go towards the 4 hour time frame, you guys can easily see how it's just all wicks. It's just simply manipulation towards the downside. And same thing here. This is just all simply manipulation towards the upside, right? Now, going back here towards the 1 hour time frame. The 1 hour time frame right now, or let's just kind of go down towards the 30 minutes. I want you guys to understand this structure. Look at all of this. All right, we're just simply going to mark it like this. Put this stronger. Notice how here we were once bullish. We had this high, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. We have a high, we have a low, a lower high, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. Then we have a high, and then we have a low again, a lower high, and then price action kind of goes bearish. We have a lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower low, manipulation towards the downside, respected all of this entire demand zone. We got structure. We have a high, we have a low, and then we have a break of structure creating a new higher highs. And then we finally broke out of this, we broke out of this trend line here. And we also have a broken structure above, we can say 4060. You guys understand that so far? So right now we're having a potential shift of structure. So we're gonna go back into the steps. We highlighted step number 3, which is the intraday key zones. We already highlighted the break of structure and we already found our supply and demand zone. Now, number 4, we're gonna identify imbalance that shows where the market may return before having a continuation towards either side. So since right now we're focusing on this exact reaction, our bias is gonna continue being bullish. Right? We respected these lows. We had a push towards the downside. We respected our major lows over here. Price action had a perfect, nice liquidity sweep towards the downside. We have a nice 4 hour bullish engulfing candle breaking and closing above. We're coming back towards these highs over here, which can be zones where price action can have a potential of returning, right? So whatever price action has retracement, it can either touch previous structure, or it can be overbought, or it can be because of new session. In this case over here, we are identifying these exact levels over here, which was previous areas of resistance, which if price action does manage to respect, then we can probably have a retracement toward our areas of interest. Okay, any questions so far? No? Okay, cool, cool. So yeah. So this is where a lot of traders they make their biggest mistakes. This is where the big mistake comes from. And the reason why is because again, you guys notice how we got every single bias already. We already highlighted everything that we needed to see. So we're gonna go back into our notes. Let's go back into our notes. Where is this? What is this? Okay, right here. We're gonna go back here towards the notes. And in the notes, we already identify. So we have daily trading, but now we're gonna kind of go down to our intraday structure. So we're gonna put 5. Uh, price is reacting of major support. We're gonna put this 40, oh shit, 40. Um, change of character. We have 5, have name, break and structure above 40, 60. And then 40, 60. And then here on the 1 hour time frame, we do have a nice right here. Oh, we're gonna put this blue. Boom. Or let's put this another color because there's a lot of blues in here already. Let's put this green. The money side, the money side, money side. So this is exactly what we're gonna wait for now. So since we already had the reaction, so we're gonna go back over here. We're gonna focus on the number 4 and number 5. Price is reacting off a major support 44, 40 into the structure. There's a possible change of character. The reason why we have a possible change of character, because again, we already explained we were coming from these lows, lower highs. We respect these lows. Pretty much liquidity sweep all of this entire lows. We are reacting and we're still trading above these dailies 4 hour bullish fair value gaps. You guys see that? We're still trading above it. If price session would have broken and closed underneath, then obviously the bullish structure won't be valid anymore. And the same thing on the 4 hour time frame. We are respecting all of these lows. We have a 4 hour lows here, we have a 4 hour highs, and we have a 4 hour higher low. You guys see that? So notice how these lows over here are higher than previous lows. And then going down towards the lower time frame intraday structure, we have a broken structure, which is all of this entire levels, right? So we have a breaking structure above 4160. And then we also have identify our imbalance or our areas of interest, which is going to be this, bullish and bullish fair value gap zone. Now, this case over here, what are we going to do? We're going to grab our fib zone. We're going to mark it from these lows to these current highs. And notice how our bullish, zone where we're interested in buying the market perfectly aligns with the golden zone, which is going to be the 0.5 to the 0.618. So all we're simply going to wait for now is for price action to give us a retracement back towards these levels. So now we're waiting for price action to give us a pullback, a liquidity sweep, and another break of structure to then enter a buy position. And that's exactly what we're going to be waiting for today. So this is something that I teach a lot in the boot camps, right? So we're going to go into number 5, which is rejection and entry. You wait for a clear rejection and a confirmation before we enter a trade. So this is where I explained a lot. Whenever price action has all of this entire setups, right? We're only waiting for 3 different type of confirmation whenever price action is coming to our areas of interest. First, we're waiting for the retest of the broken structure. Oh shit. We're waiting for the retest of the broken structure. In this case over here, the broken structure is 46. 4060. Second, we're waiting for the why does this happen? Second, we're waiting for the retest of our bullish fair value gap, which is between 4050. You say 40, yeah, 4050 zones, 4050-ish. That's it. This is all we're going to be waiting for. And then again, since price action is coming back towards these levels over here, which is an area of resistance, right? We're not going to be taking any trade inside the ranges. We're waiting for a sweep out of these lows and then the breaking structure to confirm the buys. Or worst case scenario, we can probably wait for the breaking retest above 4090. It will be high risk, but the probability can also be there as well. So again, we're gonna write down the notes. So price is reacting off major support 4040 into the breaking structure, clean breaking structure above 4060. We're also gonna write down here that I don't know why this does this right now. We're also gonna put here that uh we what let's do that. Okay, cool. That's it. And then the mistake that I was telling you guys that a lot of traders make is the impatience. Because notice how we got already our buys and we got our areas of interest. A lot of traders, if they see the move already happening, they think that they missed out. But this is why it's important to understand like the way that I trade, which in this case over here are these 5 steps, right? Let's go back into the right here. It's important to understand these things because in this ways over here, we're waiting for price to come back towards us and not us chasing the market. So that is one of the biggest rules, right? In this with this one, we're waiting for price to come to our areas of interest. Once we identify step number 3 and step number 4, identify imbalance where market may return before continuing, right? So in this case over here, we're waiting for price to come back towards these exact zones over here so that we don't get stopped out over here. Because let's say this, for example. Let's say that we enter the market just because we broke above the structure and we got the bullish move. Our stop loss can be anywhere from here, and then our take profit anywhere above here. Notice that we're buying out of nothing. We're not really buying out of anywhere. We got the bullish move, and now notice this mistake over here. We're still trading underneath areas of resistance. And remember, areas of resistance are going to be zones where there's seller opportunities. So notice how over here we have seller action, we have seller action, we have seller action, seller action. So we're basically buying in the middle. Yes, there can be times that price can play out correctly, but the goal is not catching the trade early. The goal is to make sure that the trade makes sense. So you guys got to think about it like an investment, right? You guys are going to invest into a business that actually has higher returns than a business that is all risky, that doesn't even know what it's doing, right? You obviously want to invest into something that makes sense and not try to create something when there is nothing going on here, right? So that's something important. Don't try to create something when there's nothing. Right now, we understand that we're trading in a range. There's no clear direction. We already got our zones here. We're just waiting for price to come into our zone. Now, worst case scenario, if this zones over here fails, right? If we don't get any rejection and we start noticing the price breaks underneath, this is exactly where we use to react and adapt. Okay, we broke underneath these lows. On this bullish fair value gap over here, we can probably build up a bearish fair value gap. And that's exactly where we're going to wait for price to return, retest, break structure, and then we can probably take a sell. The sell will only make sense if we break underneath these lows over here. That would be the only way that it makes sense. But we always have to wait for price to come to us first, wait for the rejection, and then the entry confirmation. And that's it. That's exactly what we're gonna wait for today, guys. So, any question? We're basically done with this breakdown. We're just gonna wait for price to come to us now. This does look like a very clean setup. Hopefully we get exactly what we want. I probably will be looking for an entry between 40.54 to 40, and then we can probably have a stops underneath here and then target any highs. That can probably be a clean setup that we can catch today. Hopefully, if it does give us exactly what we want, we can definitely take it. But for now, there is nothing going on. Yeah, so in the course, I do pretty much break down exactly what I look for. I have to update the course because there is some new things that I have to show up there. But basically the course just gives you guys an overview of my whole entire strategy, right? So the course is a beginner course, intermediate, and then right now I have to upload the advanced one, which is, basically giving you guys all of this entire sauce here. 40.74. Yeah, you're right on that one, but regarding what I'd say, like for me personally, I do see what you see. Are you talking about these highs over here? Right over here? Oh shit. Yeah. So in this case, I do see exactly what I said. Remember what I said? It might be probability, because again, the probability can be there. Because I do see what you see. I understand that we do have the break of structure, but for me, the only reason why I personally wouldn't take this trade is simply because of how structure is still in between these highs and these lows over here. So what is the probability of price, having the bounce, but we sweep out all of these highs over here, and then we had another push towards the downside. It's going to be always 50-50 in this case over here, because again, keep in mind, the 4 hour, we're still trading between it. So for me, I actually have to wait for either the 4 hour structure to break above these highs and understand that, okay, these areas over here is no longer resistance, then we can probably look for buys around here. And then same thing, I wouldn't look for buys over here just yet because what is the probability of price either sweeping out and then continue another direction? Because again, all of this we're reacting it off from the daily structure. The daily is weak, the weekly candles as well is weak. So we're basically indecisive yet. So these zones over here are very important to trade with cautious. So counter trend trade. That is okay. So I don't see yet 100% bullish side yet, due to the fact that we haven't really broken above these 4 hour highs or broken above all of this daily structure. And I do not see a full-time bearish structure like full-time yet, because again, we haven't broken underneath the structure and we're still reacting off this. I will see 100% bullish only if we break and retest above here. And I will only look for sells if we take I will only look for a sell if we take a sell underneath here. I don't have any indicators. The only indicators that I use, I don't even use none of these. This is all old stuff from like years ago. So if you guys want to see this, this is all from years ago. I don't really use these anymore. But yeah, that is a high risk trade. Yes, you will have a high risk trade under above here, but it's just again being more patient and just waiting for price to come into you. So let's see, let's see, let's see. You guys got any questions at this point here? We're just gonna wait. I'm gonna update the groups. My fib setting, this is what exactly I use. Yeah, oh, again, we do have news as well. I completely forgot about that. Like, we do have news as well. So we're gonna have to wait for news to happen. Yes, bias for now is neutral. We're gonna see what is gonna happen if this one, because again, we are kind of reacting off this resistance. We're trading underneath these supplies. There's sellers. We're trading above these demand. We're trading above, support. There's buyers. So there's sellers and there's buyers kind of right now going against each other. Right now we're kind of neutral. We have already the bias because this is a move that already happened. So we're just gonna react what happened during the London session. The London session, we did see some bias. So now we're going to confirm if this bias actually is, valid. And if it's valid, then yes, we're going to take the bias. If it's not valid and we break underneath these lows, we just simply react and adapt. And that's pretty much exactly what we're going to be doing on today. And that's exactly what we're going to do. All right. So, any questions before we close out the session? Okay, so look, all right, so I'm gonna show you guys an indicator this is mostly for beginner. Again, do not trust these indicators. These indicators is never gonna give you guys the correct, I'm gonna say you guys the correct buys. It's just something so that you guys can study. But if you guys want to understand how, pretty much to identify these, fair value gap zones, I do highly recommend you guys to use this. So obviously, learn from it. Don't use it because this is not 100% accurate at all. But this is something that you guys can use so you guys can actually study it. And then by yourself, you understand exactly how it would look like. But this is exactly the indicator. It's called the fair value gap locks algo. So I do recommend you guys to use this to study it, understand exactly how to properly use it, and then go on your own. So if like to confirm it, if you guys kind of show this up, you guys can see all of this, right? We marked up a supply fair value gap zone from this one, and then there's also a fair value gap here. But notice how there's a loss. So that's exactly why I tell you guys that don't use it 100% because this is not valid. But it's for you guys to understand how exactly it looks like. But I do recommend it to study it just a little bit. It's called the Lux Algo fair value gap. The EMA, so I use the VWAP. I really don't use it anymore. This is all old stuff, guys. So this stuff, I don't really use it. But let me show you exactly what I use. Where is it, bro? I even, I only trade a New York session, yes. How do you even open up the setting for this? No, no volume at all. So basically, we wait for retest in the golden zone to take entry or break above bearish fair value gap 41 to take buys. Exactly, yeah. So right now we're waiting for the retest inside this golden zone, inside this bullish demand zone right here. We're waiting for the retest. If it respects it, we simply wait for this is exactly what we're gonna wait for. So let's say that we come back and retest it. We respect it. We're gonna wait for the breaker structure on a lower time frame. So you guys want to go down towards the lower, let's say 5 minute, 1 minute time frame. But again, these pullbacks, if you guys kind of go down towards a lower time frame, you guys can see how these pullbacks are creating, lower lows and lower highs. So we went from highs, lows, high, lows to now creating these highs, lows, and lower highs. So we're gonna be waiting for price action to pull back towards our main structure, which is gonna be this one here. Once we see this, we're going to wait for price action to reject. And most important, to close above here. This is the most important part. We need to close above 4060. Once we close above 4060 and we understand that we respected all of the structure, we're just going to be looking for the entry slightly, which can either be an inverse. It can either be an inverse candle from here. We wait for price action to close and break above, and then we can enter the market. We enter our highs. Our stop loss is going to be underneath these lows, and then we target all of these entire highs here. That's one scenario. If the buy position over here fails, like if it doesn't reject, then we just simply wait for we wait for these lows to get broken out, for price action to break underneath and build up the same exact scenario. And then we start looking for sells. If these highs over here gets broken out, we look for the break and retest, and then we start looking for buys. But again, keep in mind, we do have news coming up at 9:45, so obviously we have to be patient at this point. Because news can probably just manipulate all of that stuff. All right, so you guys got any questions? I'm gonna close out this session. Yeah, of course, I'm gonna update. So I'm gonna be active. I'm gonna be sending all of this out in the Telegram. So, problem, no problem. So I'm gonna send out the recording as well. So let's kind of end this right now. I'm Sebastian. Ryan is, of course, of course. All right, cool. So hope you guys enjoy. I'll send out the recording. I'll update you guys on the Zoom call. Hope you guys have a great weekend as well. Take care, guys. Oh, by the way, today we're gonna have, for completely forgot, today we're gonna do a $100 giveaway. So the way to actually join the $100 giveaway, you guys can text support, right? Let me see. Are you guys able to hear me by any chance? I don't know if you guys can. Okay, cool. So to get the $100 giveaway, it will be for everyone. So I do recommend you guys to text info. I'm going to send out right now in the Telegram. And all you guys really need to do is just make sure that you guys have an account. You guys are trading with Vantage and have an active account with Vantage. So if you guys want access to that, just make sure you guys have an active account with Vantage to qualify. And then I'll give you guys, we will do the $100 giveaway. So I will send out the support right now, like the info, so you guys can just make sure you qualify for it, and then we'll do the giveaway after the market closes. So that will be later on today. But other than that, we are done. So I'm gonna send out the recording now, guys. Let's do it. Right now it's 9:20 in the morning, so it's very early here.